We are here at the evacuation shelter at Seward Park High School, one of the 76 evacuation shelters located in public schools around the city. There are already more than 90 people here who've evacuated from homes in Zone A, and there are hundreds more in shelters across the city. First, I want to thank those for taking quick action to ensure their own safety and to make it easier for the rest of us. I want to thank all the people here working. They are volunteers and doing a phenomenal job. And I'd like to give everybody a little more of an update on the city's preparations for Hurricane Sandy right now. The forecast for a large and dangerous storm surge is the same as it was this morning. Earlier today, I signed an executive order for the mandatory evacuation of homes and businesses in Zone A, low-lying coastal areas of the city. To reiterate, what are the low-lying areas? Zone A includes Coney Island, Manhattan Beach, and Red Hook, and other areas along the East River in Brooklyn, all of the Rockaways, and also Hamilton Beach and Broad Channel in Queens, almost all the coastline of Staten Island, City Island, a small patch of Throgs Neck, and another patch of the South Bronx, Battery Park City, and stretches of the West Side waterfront and of the Lower East Side and East Village in Manhattan. There are two maps on display someplace here, which we have or we're trying to get, which will show you the areas of Zone A, but the bottom line is the other map shows the 76 evacuation centers. If you live in Zone A and have not yet evacuated to a safer location out of the zone, it's crucial that you do so as soon as possible. Time is running out. If you're not sure if you live in Zone A, find out by calling 311 or going to nyc.gov, where you can find a map of the zones or type your address into the zone finder. The zone finder may be slow because we're just getting inundated with requests, but just have some patience and hang on. It does work, and it will tell you where to go. I can't stress enough that this is for your own safety, and that if you refuse to evacuate, you're not only putting yourself at risk, but also the first responders who will have to assist you in an emergency. Everyone must keep in mind, especially those in Zone A who have not yet left, that mass transit service is going to be suspended tonight. The last subway will run at 7 p.m. The last buses will run at 9 p.m. They will remain closed until further notice after the storm passes. If you have not yet left Zone A, please to get to public transportation as soon as possible. If you have friends or family you can stay with outside of Zone A, that's your best option. If you live in Zone A and don't have the option to stay with friends and family out of the zone, shelters like the one we're in right now are available for your use. There are 76 of them in public schools around the city, and they are open, fully staffed, and fully supplied. They provide a safe place to sleep, meals, and you can also bring your pets. You can find their locations by calling 311 or, as I said, the finder on nyc.gov. If you're going to use one of these shelters, we strongly urge you to get there via public transportation, and that has to be obviously as soon as possible, but there really aren't facilities to park cars. All of these shelters have at least one entrance usable for wheelchairs. If you require further information, you can also visit the OEM website or the website of the Mayor's Office for People with Disabilities, which will provide information about accessible transportation. If you cannot evacuate yourself and need assistance, call 311. And if you go to a shelter and use regular medication or require medical equipment like oxygen tanks, be sure to bring them with you. Also bring the name and contact information for your doctor if you need medical care. Buses provided by the Department of Education have been sent to all 26 public housing developments in Zone A. They are available to take the 45,000 plus residents in these developments to dedicated shelters. Flyers have been posted in every one of these developments, and NYCHA staff is knocking on doors to alert residents about the mandatory evacuation and to let them know the location of buses to shelters. NYCHA is also making calls to residences telling them to leave. The NYPD is making announcements on those in those developments and throughout Zone A on loudspeakers in some of the squad cars. Residents can also call 311 to find out where to get to those buses and to get help with evacuation. As I said earlier, let me remind you one more time, 7 p.m. subway stop, 9 p.m. buses, and in the NYCHA housing, 7 p.m. all elevators in those 26 developments will be shut off. Heat and hot water will also be shut off. So if you live in one of those developments, it's imperative that you get to a safe location out of Zone A before then. As was announced earlier today, all public schools are closed tomorrow morning, Monday. All school-based after-school programs are closed tomorrow as well, as are most other after-school programs. Let me give you some other updates on city operations. The Department of Homeless Services has enhanced street outreach to encourage people on the street to seek shelter. Street outreach will continue during the storm, safety permitting. Senior centers will be closed early on Monday and will remain closed on Tuesday. The Coast Guard has closed New York Harbor beginning tonight, and all cruise ships originally scheduled for arrival Monday and Tuesday have been diverted. The Staten Island Ferry will operate until 8 p.m. from St. George Terminal and 8:30 from Whitehall Terminal this evening, after which service will be suspended until further notice. Let me also remind you that East River Ferry service has been suspended. All outdoor filming permits are suspended for tomorrow. No city-authorized filming will take place. The 3 public library systems that cover all 5 boroughs will be closed tomorrow. That's the New York, Queens, and Brooklyn public library systems. We'll continue to give updates today and tomorrow. You can visit nyc.gov for updates or call 311. You can follow NYC Mayor's Office on Twitter. But the most important thing I can say right now is if you live in Zone A, you must evacuate. We have a plan to keep you and New Yorkers safe. If you follow that plan, we'll get through this storm just fine. If you don't, people's lives are in danger, not only yours, but the people who might be called to rescue you in an emergency. Let me summarize in Spanish. Esta tarde pedí una evacuación obligatoria de la zona A. Si usted vive en zona A, tendrá que salir ahora. Todos los camiones y trenes se suspenderán esta noche. Para más información, llame al 311 o visite el nyc.gov. With that, we'll be happy to take some questions if anybody has any. Yes, sir.
Is there any additional information as to whether or not Con Ed is planning a preemptive shutdown in Lower Manhattan?
We have not heard anything. They're looking at if the first thing they would shut down would be steam, and you wouldn't notice it. The last I checked, they have no plans to shut down any of the electrical service. Some may fail if the underground conduits are flooded, but it's only the steam where the water would do real damage, which would take digging it up and a long time to repair. Yes, sir.
2 questions, sir. Why shut down heat and hot water in NYCHA and the elevators? Also, the zone finder isn't just slow. It doesn't appear to be working right now.
Well, I used it, or one of my people used it, and they said it does. It's about 20 minutes slow, and we're doing the best we can, okay? So if you've got a better solution, we'd be happy to hear it. I understand your criticisms, and they're well taken. In terms of the elevators, if electricity goes out, the elevators will stop, and people could be trapped in them. And the heat and hot water, it's all the electrical controls for that. So we're just trying to prepare. And they're not necessary. You can use the stairs. We'll help you if you cannot use the stairs. And heat and hot water, we'd like you to evacuate and come to the shelters or go to friends. Yes, sir?
You've issued an evacuation. Are people following? Are police out and about?
Well, we have 90-odd here, and we're just trying to find the traffic going out of the city. When I drove over here was much heavier than the traffic coming into the city. Whether those people are evacuating or not, we just don't know. Last time in Hurricane Irene, we think something like 60% did listen. Hopefully this time more people will listen. Yes, sir.
The NYCHA locations, how many people does that encompass within the 26 locations?
45,000 was, I said earlier.
And are you getting the sense those people are going to be leaving?
So far, yes, it does look like they're cooperating. And I think part of that is that John Rea and his staff knocked on every door, made phone calls, did everything they possibly could. It's a well-run organization, and you're seeing the results of that. And when it comes to be important things, they do a very good job. Yes, miss?
Is there any chance that the FDR or any other major...
There's no reason to think if they get flooded, they will be closed, obviously. But I would suggest you stay away from those highways that normally do get flooded. We don't actually expect that much rain. This time it's from the water coming up, but something like the FDR is elevated, but it may not be elevated enough. But there's no reason to think that we're going to close it. It is dangerous to drive when the winds get very high, particularly going over bridges. So you should do it with great care, and you'd be better off not driving. Yes, sir?
I was just going to say, I know hindsight is 20/20, but looking back, might it have been better to do the evacuation? I called for the evacuation yesterday.
Absolutely not. Why would we do that when we don't know whether there's an emergency? It's dangerous, it's expensive, it's inconvenient to people, and we're not here to inconvenience anybody. We're here to protect safety. When conditions warrant it, we will make those decisions, and when conditions don't want it, we're not going to do it just to give you a story. Anything else? Yes, sir.
Any additional precautions being taken for the folks on Rikers Island?
Rikers Island is, the land is up where they are, and the jails are secure. Don't worry about anybody getting out.
Heat and hot water shop in NYCHA unprecedented. Have you guys done this before?
Yes, we have. Yes. Yes, miss.
For those with small children coming in here, there's no cribs. Is there going to be cribs that can be brought in?
I don't know whether we have cribs or not. Does anybody? Yes. We have baby supplies, but no cribs. Yes.
Mr. Mayor, what's your biggest fear with the storm coming in?
Well, the biggest fear is that people don't leave, and in retrospect, they should have. They call in an emergency, and some of our emergency workers lose their lives trying to save others needlessly. If people had done what we'd asked them to do originally, that wouldn't happen. There will always be emergencies, but there's no reason to create the conditions for emergencies when it's relatively easy to avoid them, and you have the kind of notice that we've given in this time. Yes, sir.
Mayor, with the anticipation of flooding and high winds in Manhattan, are there plans to close any of the bridges and tunnels?
There's no plans to close any of them at the moment. The only tunnel that's really relatively low and close to the water at the entrance is the Hugh Carey Brooklyn Battery Tunnel, and we'll keep an eye on it. But the other tunnels should be all okay. It is dangerous, as I said, to drive when you have 50-mile-an-hour winds, particularly over a bridge. So you should, try to avoid it. The surges will be roughly midnight, and 12 hours later, and 12 hours later, and 12 hours later. The big surge will be tomorrow night. But when you go to bed tonight, if there's no water outside your building, that doesn't mean when you wake up there won't be, because we'll have a surge since then.
Mr. Mayor,
yes.
During the evacuation, because there's a big population of Hispanics and Chinese in the public housing, did the city deploy any language assistance?
We are trying to help everybody, no matter what language they speak. Keep in mind that neighbors can help each other, and they know if you speak Spanish. And the person next door doesn't speak any English, but you do, helping them would be a nice thing to do. Where we do translate everything into Russian, Chinese, Spanish, myriad languages. So that we think will be okay with that. It is hard to get a message out. That's why we've knocked on every door. That's why we keep calling people. That's why we have the speakers, loudspeakers in police cars. Yes, miss.
Will there be any more zones added to this as the night goes on?
We don't think there's any need to do that. The surges are predicted to be 6, 8, 12 feet in different places. That is Zone A. After that, the land really goes up pretty high. If you were to have a 30-foot surge, you'd have a very different case, but there's no prognosis. There's no indication that that's not what they're calling for at the moment. So let me just refresh everybody's memory. This is dangerous. If you live in Zone A, subways are going to stop at 7. Same thing, Long Island Railroad and Metro North. Buses at 9. The elevators in public housing at 7. You please have to get out of your property, out of your house, and go to a shelter or go to friends. But it is dangerous to stay where you are. That's the reason we've called for this evacuation, and I've signed a mandatory order. The police and fire and everybody else in the city All the city workers will be there tomorrow morning to make sure that this city stays safe and we can provide the services that we need. Tomorrow, the forecasts are for a lot of rain and wind. But the danger that we're really talking about here is a surge, and that happens at the low-lying land, and also flying debris and that sort of thing, normal precautions that we've talked about before. Have your go bag, and take your keys, take a little bit of money, take some identification, and if all else fails, you just call the city 911 if it absolutely is an emergency, and we'll make sure that you get out and get safe. So let me also thank the volunteers at the city agencies that are here working in this shelter and others. They have a great sense of responsibility to keep this city safe and to help people, and we owe them a debt of gratitude. If we have anything else to say, we'll just put out announcements, but we don't anticipate anything new happening. The surges are pretty much fixed into the tide tables, and they'll happen exactly when the gravity of the sun, the moon, the earth, and the comes together along with the wind. That's what causes all this. Thank you.